Open the planning board meeting for Tuesday, May 1st, okay? First on the agenda, I just want to review the PVPC contract. Just everybody take a look at it.
That's not it.
That's not it.
You should have it.
It's right there, but
There it is, right
there's
there.
the agreement. So
What did you change?
it's actually for 2018. What we're actually doing is increasing the value of it. We've actually used up our funds we allotted for that with him, with the PVPC.
For this current fiscal year.
Yes,
Yeah.
2018. So it was basically just due to the big projects we had. So. Jay's adding some excitement to our meeting, huh?
There we go.
Realty free at least? They're realty free at least? Well, the conservation committee shares it with us. Did
you change the amount or just the date?
The amount
So from 9,
to 10,000.
okay,
Yeah, that's the difference.
okay.
Because at 9,000, we were just about at the limit again. So raised it to 10,000 just if anything comes up between now and June 30th.
And so you have it there to sign?
I do, I just want everybody to take a look at it before I sign it.
Does anybody want to take a look at it?
Well, Jimmy's looking at it right now.
Oh, but you have 2 copies, as long as we don't put our fingerprints on it. That's the second one, right?
We actually has the whole,
Oh, the whole big one.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
but then that was the same, it's just this part that changed.
yes.
Well, I believe we pretty much discussed this.
Well, the only difference was the last time we discussed it was $9,000. And we changed it to 10,000.
How much do we have left in the balance?
We have enough to cover the 10,000.
I didn't ask that question.
I don't know what the exact number is.
Okay. You guys, you got my email, we can recoup that other money from that solar fund if we sold it.
Yeah, I think it's worth to try.
And you got the email, it's the same email, said we can have escrow accounts through PDM.
Yes,
Okay.
yep.
The only thing that we'll have to do with that, probably.
No, I look at this, they didn't update it. They're supposed to update it.
On what he wants,
They didn't
when
update,
you want to request so much money,
I told Larry to update it to $10,000.
when we return the remaining, that's all you should do.
So if we're all in approval, agreement, it'll be at $10,000. I look at the agreement and they didn't update it. They still left at 9,000 for some reason, but it's supposed to be updated to
It's part of it,
10,000. So if we're all in agreement, we do vote on it, I'll just stop by town hall and sign off on it. Give you a
I'll
new
make a
copy.
motion to approve the fiscal year 2018 Pioneer Valley Planning Commission
the increase?
agreement with the change from $9,000 to $10,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Was it 9 to 10, or was it,
It was,
10-5.
I'm sorry, what was it?
9 to 10-5.
it was 10-5?
From 9th, I'll amend my motion.
No, it's not. Originally, the agreement was for 7,500. He wanted to increase it 1,500 to 9,000. And then he had sent me the bills that showed that we were approaching the $9,000 mark. So I said, we'll just make it for the 10,000 that we've had in the past, and I'll bring it to the board and have the board review it. And if the board's okay with it, then I'd sign off on it, so.
So the motion is to approve fiscal year 2018 PVPC agreement with the change from 7,500 to 10,000.
10,000, yes.
Right.
We actually never signed a $9,000 one.
Correct.
And Jim, you seconded?
Second.
Oh, we voted.
We've not voted.
Yeah.
Were you here for that?
I was typing. Okay.
Well, we can do it again. All in favor? Aye.
Okay, now it's official.
All right. Do you want to just go over the letter now? There's a letter here,
Oh, there's copies for
oh,
everybody there. You can have one.
everybody read it? Does anybody need to see it?
What is it?
This is the letter to
To the
Attorney John P. DeCuse.
Oh, yes.
Bruce.
Yeah, I did see that.
Yep, so that's from our last meeting. We had that, and we asked Lillian to draft a letter for us. Which she said.
Should we add in there something about where, we're looking for some sort of time frame?
Oh, when it comes in.
Okay, we'll
Okay.
discuss that.
Requested.
Just so he knows why he's coming, but,
Well, I think he's gonna know what he's coming because it's time to expire.
and he's looking for a,
He wants to get paid for the developer.
Yeah.
Bottom line. It's fine by me. We need a motion on the
I'll make the motion to send the letter to Attorney DeCruz on behalf of GC Development.
Is there a second?
Jay seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll get it to Kathy so she can send it out. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. All right, moving right along.
Jay,
Yes,
do
sir.
you, I'm sorry, Jay, do you have the ability to pull up those marijuana bylaws that, such as Grafton, East Hampton, and Belchertown have done?
Doing A, which one do we want? To include the one now on the penalties that are imposed if you get caught violating the law. So we know basically what they can't do, because they can be fined or imprisoned. So we know what the limits are as far as the bylaws and stuff.
I don't recall seeing that.
I don't know if you have.
I don't know if he sent it just to me or he sent it to everybody. I showed
But
it
is
to
that-
you, but-
Yeah, Jay showed that to me the other day.
Yeah, I
It's
didn't,
got a lot of interesting things in it. I don't think it was sent to us.
Maybe Al just sent it to me. I don't know, that wasn't
Is it, is it us that are responsible?
No, it's an
It's got nothing to do with zoning.
Okay,
It's what it is, it's an aid when you write the marijuana bylaws. That's what it comes down to.
Right.
From their perspective, not from ours. Should be just concerned about the zoning and the bylaws around.
Right, which screening is one of them, security is another one.
Yeah, under special permit, yes.
Right, so that's what he's giving us,
Right.
you know, consent.
okay, maybe I misunderstood. That, are those from Al Wishart, Police Chief, or Al Wishart, Chairman of Marijuana Ad Hoc Committee?
That I can't answer you, buddy.
Okay.
For now.
That's,
that's just the master
They're
and the
one and the
law.
same.
I understand that, but I didn't know what,
I think it's more as the chair of the ad hoc committee.
I see, okay.
I would imagine. So, moving forward,
so what are we looking for? To get something in place that you can bring, or whoever's gonna go to this meeting with the committee?
yes, they wanted something from us as far as zoning where we would consider it to be allowed inside the town. I think something we look at, we talked before about was, it's got, I wouldn't allow it in residential. I think we talked about allowing it in the business zone.
And just so you know, there's a rather aggressive timetable on this.
Yes.
The ad hoc committee wants to have another meeting on May 9th.
Yeah, it's a very aggressive time constraints.
Want to get into the nuts and bolts of
Yeah,
this?
that's what we're here for.
You know, lead off with the stuff that we talked about.
Yeah, you can bring that up, Jay, we'll go from there.
Okay, I looked at it, and I mentioned it to Glenn, because we both at the meeting last night. We had no quorum, nothing, we were just BSing about it. There are some generic issues with marijuana that pertain to private, to the commercial, recreational, and the commercial registered medical dispensary. What that being is, an example is, no person shall cultivate or process marijuana plants pursuant to section 8 of this chapter if the plants are visible from a public place. So nobody can see these plants, whether it's private, commercial, recreational, or commercial, or medical, they can't see them. Without the use of binoculars, aircraft, or other optical aids. That's why when I mentioned there's something that occurs to everything. So, and alcohol, he says basically you can do pretty much what you want. You can make them put it in the building, you can make them put it under a canopy, you can make them do screening, you can do different types of locks. That's all required by law. And when he talked to the Attorney General's office, he says, how you do it is your own determination. It has to be done, but how you want to do it is up to you.
Well, we're talking three different kinds of, we're talking two different dispensaries and personal use, is that correct? We're not talking about cultivation of.
Well, that's going to be part of the discussion tonight, because you've got to have bylaws for all of that, the manufacturing, the cultivation, the selling, all of it.
Right, but I don't understand how you can, if you're cultivating based on whatever tier you may be in, as set up by the
Right. You're right.
Cannabis Control Commission, I don't understand how you can canopy or keep it from sight. Fenced, yes, but, okay, I don't mean to interrupt.
Basically, it's up to the board to write the bylaw and get the voters to approve it. And the basic thing is, you cannot see marijuana growing under those three ways from a public place. That's the bottom line. So the question is, like we looked at Belchertown, remember we talked about that, Bobby? They had a nice one on fences and stuff like that. Do you want to require a fence? Do you want to require the fence 10 feet from the property line? All that stuff is to be determined. And some places have it only in buildings. They don't let them grow it outside.
That is, I'm sorry?
That's what I would start with,
Just inside?
in a business district. It's not considered agricultural.
That's correct.
So if it's being grown for retail purposes, then I would think that it should be grown in a controlled environment, in a secured facility.
Right.
Greenhouse of some sort.
As well, some of these three towns, Grafton, Belchertown, East Hampton, have said there will not be any nuisance, i.e. odor, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that says it right in here, you can get,
So, how do you control an odor?
It's outside.
If it's outside. And I didn't know this until last year, but apparently pot smells, when it's growing, smells like skunk.
smell like what?
Skunk.
Does it?
When it's growing?
I've never used
I
it.
know that either.
I didn't, It's not, it's somebody told me that, and I'm sure, but it does.
So I guess really starting off with zoning, where we want it, just consider it in
It's
the business.
for commercial use, it's gonna be retail, it should be in a business zone.
Or industry.
What about the overlays?
What about the what?
The business overlays?
I would keep it out of the business overlays for now.
Keep it out of the industrial area too? I'm just asking, I'm not saying.
Yeah, I know, I hear you. I don't see any reason why it couldn't be done in an industrial, zoned area. I think we want to keep it out of residential. It's basically a grow facility. And retail's not allowed in residential, whether it's this product or any other product.
So it's being restricted to commercial, zone commercial, and what else?
Business and industrial.
Industrial.
A GB, general business.
And that leaves it to a specific area.
Yeah.
Now, is there any areas in town that we'd have concerns with it? As far as like,
Oh, I think the state says 500 feet from any type of public or private school. Do we want-
do we get clarification if they consider like an early childhood,
Yeah, let's see if I got here.
like I'll say a commercial, but like a commercial daycare, not one that's in someone's house, but like, we have several that are actual businesses in town.
Well, if it is allowed in town, there's only going to be one business. They can sell it. Because 20% of your liquor stores, and we only got 2 liquor stores, so 20% of 2 is never going to get greater than 1.
Well, didn't Al say that we should make it 50% since we only have 2 package store licenses? That way,
Well, we only have 2 package store licenses, but how many are we allowed?
we are currently, I asked that, but we are currently allowed 2.
Two.
Okay.
If we wanted to go further, we'd have to petition the state. Or more.
What was I looking for you, Robbie? Something...
I'm sorry?
I'm looking for something for you that you wanted to see.
Now we're talking retail,
Retail,
so we can't have more than
one.
1 based on,
Based upon this document here,
now what about grow facilities?
there's no limit on them. Unless the bylaws puts them in a limit or something like that on them. The only thing, there's only 2 things that really we cannot do. We cannot, because the town voted 54 to 46 to have marijuana, we cannot restrict a registered marijuana dispensary for coming into town unless there's another vote and people change their mind. So that's, one's gonna come unless the people change their mind.
Which is being, as I heard at the meeting, planned that there will be a ban properly warned at town meeting, and if that doesn't pass to ban it, then we go to the bylaws, the acceptance of new bylaws.
Right, you're 100% right, Bobby, and here's the timeline. And you can back up to 2 July to 22 June, where Kathy's got to put it into the newspaper, so she needs some meat to put it in the newspaper for the ad, for that. And then, well, you both were there at the meeting. I asked, how much more time are you different committees going to need to review this after we finish with it? And that's why the meeting was set for 9 May.
Yeah, that's my only question is, as far as, if early childhood
But that's what I was looking
School.
for, how far away from the school?
That's not, I mean,
Well, if it is, the state's already got that. Our bylaws, unless they become more stringent,
well, that's how,
dictates back to the state. So if the state says no more than 500 feet, we can't say you can have it at 300 feet.
But that's an interesting
Right, because I-
scenario.
No,
because
yes, we can.
Belchertown
Yes,
has
we can.
diminished it to 200.
we can, it's, the state is at 500. We can actually permit it to be closer if we wish. We can allow it to be further away. So our bylaws can't say up to 1,000 feet from the school. The state says 500. The state says if you wish to be closer, that's up to you, but you can't go beyond that.
Further, okay, so
Yeah.
they set the limit on that end of it.
I think it was right around here.
And what some of the communities are doing, 500 feet from the school, is they're saying the straight line as the crow flies, not looping around a road
Right, following the road.
from property line to property line. And if it needs to be proved at the owner's expense, a surveyor will be hired.
Yeah, well, that would be, any type of site plan approval we would do. Wouldn't be on the abutter's responsibility.
But they do mention daycares
Yeah.
in some of these towns.
Well, keep in mind, if we're limiting this to a GB, takes the schools out of play.
Not really.
Not necessarily the daycare.
Well, that's just, I'm just curious about, because there's one, what's the one down by Five Corners? That expansion there.
Oh, children's first.
Children
First.
first, yeah.
So if they, is that more than just a daycare? That's more considered a early childhood learning.
When I read it, and I gotta remember where I read it, it says any type of school, public or private. And a daycare can be considered a form of school because they are learning there.
But who's saying that?
I read it somewhere, I'm just trying to remember what document I read it.
That's, if it says it somewhere, great, but I'm just,
I'm just trying to remember where I read it. Because you see all the documents up there, there's so many of
We
them.
can put including daycares. And when it goes to the IG's office,
they sign off on it?
they sign off on it, they sign off on it.
Such as Grafton. And I believe, yeah, this is just a draft.
Here's Grafton for you, but
The proposed use, restrictions and prohibitions. The proposed uses shall not be located within 500 feet of the following as measured from the building and/or area actively used. Public, private, elementary school, middle school, secondary school, prep school, licensed daycare center,
Okay.
and any other facility in which children commonly congregate in an organized, ongoing, formal basis.
what page was that on, Bobby?
This is on page 4 of 6 in Grafton.
Okay, I'm on
Right
Grafton.
there, down the bottom.
Okay,
It's the last.
I'm just trying to catch up to you, so everybody can see it. Restrictions and prohibitions?
Yeah, it's right at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I also like that other one, owned and operated as part of the campus of any private or public institution of higher learning.
So where's this from, Bob?
This is from Grafton.
Grafton?
Yeah. And where I'm going with that is, we've got McDuffie here in town.
Yeah, it's a private school.
Private school.
Right. Although it is spelled out public or private
Private.
elementary.
That's where I saw it in the regulations, says public or private,
Yeah.
and/or private.
Well, this brings up what I talked about before, because now it says licensed daycare center. So people that run a daycare out of their house is a licensed daycare.
Yes, they are licensed.
I'm not talking about someone who just watches kids, but someone actually who has a license to have a daycare in the house, so that's,
Yeah,
Do they have to have a DBA with Kathy?
yes.
yes.
They do.
I would imagine so if they're
Yes.
licensed to do it, yes.
There was another discussion today, Greg called me at home about a daycare up in the condominiums on 116. And I guess the condominium association's given the daycare owner a problem. And she's been registered with Kathy Kelly Regan. She has a state license since 2001. And I guess the condominium association really doesn't want her there. I don't know all the details, I'm just giving you what I got. And I said, well, number one, if she got agreement from the town in 2001, you gotta go back to the bylaws that were in effect in 2001. You can't use this year's. I told them that. And Kathy Kelly Regan says every time that her applications come up for renewal from the state, she has gotten approved from the state. And she's getting approval again the 30 June, so to me, it's a condominium issue. It's got nothing to do with us.
That's what it sounds.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with us.
And that's exactly what I told him. But he did call and he asked those questions, and that's what I told him.
So that sounds like something that would be worthwhile to adopt.
Do you want to make a note, Liz? It's Grafton,
This is a,
paragraph 5.10.7 on page 4.
yeah, Jim, this is what Grafton has, and it actually spells out the public, private, elementary schools, secondary schools, number 2.
It even has a public library in it.
If we're gonna start right here with Grafton, why don't we start at the beginning of Grafton? Because it seems to be very detailed. And I don't know if there's any kind of copyright infringement or anything else.
There's no.
You know, they spell out the authority, purpose, and intent. Would you like to, well,
So we're going to agree upon, for, it's going to be industrial, business, commercial, general business. So those are the areas that we're going to allow, so that's our starting point.
as far as we must follow this as a
Guide?
template.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, this is,
Depending on what everybody else thinks, it's just my thought.
A lot of them are similar.
They truly.
I would imagine so. I mean, you can only write things so many different ways.
I think people are copying others. If somebody gets something in, they get it, then they take the best of both worlds and insert it, and then it passes on to the next person.
What is their security measures in this one? I've forgotten what
Okay.
the 3 of them, or actually 4 of them. And we also discuss special permit site plan review
Right.
also, but we want to handle the security aspect, I think.
Yes, you are correct. Because by Massachusetts general law, it has to be secure as a
But
control.
I think we want to hand off that to the police chief to review.
Remember, we only have jurisdiction over site plans. Nothing with the building, nothing with building code or anything like that.
So do you want to not grow it within 10 feet of the property line or something like that? You know,
Well, if it's in a controlled environment, if it has to be a contained or in a building can't be within so many feet from a property
15
line.
feet
There's
from a
already bylaws in place that stipulate, I mean, if you just go to retail and services, and then you look where it's allowed, they name a bunch of different types of establishments, and then they tell you, RS, not allowed, RM, GB, yes, it is allowed, but special permit or site plan approval.
Jay, is that just retail growing, or is that personal growing as well?
Personal growing, we got no say over.
yes, we do. We actually do. That's what I was trying to explain to you.
How so?
You cannot see private growing from a public place.
That's not with us, though, that's with the police department. We have no say on policing that.
Well,
Is that
according to this, you can't see it, and it has to be secure.
bigger end?
I don't know how that falls under our jurisdiction, residential.
they can use that, but they can't.
If they're violating a state law,
That's general business.
not a bylaw, but a state law, that's,
Well, Jim, as you said, if we're gonna make it outdoor growing to be in a building only, a secure building, and that takes care of everything.
that's
I mean,
kind of my point.
Yeah.
yeah, so then we don't have to worry about the visibility because it's gonna be in a building. We don't have to worry about the security because it has to be locked.
State law, from what you're showing me, is already telling us that.
That's correct.
So if it's allowed in GB and industrial, and we say it's allowed by special permit, then when we review the plans,
Special permit and site plan, yeah.
then we make sure that it applies to all the state.
Well, I think the state
Mass
law
general law.
does, no, the state law doesn't define,
No, it tells you, you can't see it, and it must be controlled and locked. That's all the
That's all
state
it
law
does,
says.
right.
Doesn't tell you how to do it. It says it must be controlled, you can't see it from a public place.
And that's all we do. It's no different than we make sure that there's proper screening for solar farms or anything like that. It's not. We have that control when it comes before the planning board as a site plan approval with a special permit.
And I know how this board would read any application that comes before it, but do we need to make the bylaws any more specific so the next group of people who come in know what we were thinking when we did this? Because if it's not in writing, they're not gonna know.
but I see what Jimmy's saying more towards that. So if it's someone, so if I'm gonna decide to grow it, I don't need a site plan approval.
They do.
Why?
I mean, for your personal use, you mean?
I can grow up to 10 plants.
12. You can grow up to 12 in a
Well,
household, 6
well,
per person.
Right, whatever it may be. So if it's, I decide to grow 10 plants, I don't need a site plan approval.
The only thing that I would ask a question on how it's to be handled, and Jim may be correct, if you're growing it privately, it has to be controlled under a locked environment and not visible from a public. That's all I'm
Right,
saying.
and that's the point I'm getting to. Now, where, if you will, whose jurisdiction does that come under?
Whose responsibility is it to make sure that a firearm is locked and secured?
Owner of the property.
And if they're in some sort of violation, we have nothing to do with
But
it.
there is laws about that. This is a general statement that says it has to be secured.
But-
So I'm just asking, so who determines that, I'm gonna grow 10 plants? Who determines that, well, you need to have that surrounded by a fence?
Well, I
I
don't
think
think,
we're going way too deep,
yeah, you don't have to, if you don't have
in
to,
all honesty.
you're allowed to do it.
By right.
By right. So you don't have to come down and fill out a permit to say, I want a permit to grow for myself.
No, but that's what but the law is saying, the law is giving you the permission to put parameters around it. You know, if someone's gonna grow in their yard, they're giving you the option to put parameters around that. So I'm asking, is that, if it's not our board, then is there a certain, who should be looking at
The
that?
law overall says you can legally grow, okay? The law also states it must be controlled, it must not be visible from a public place, and it must be locked. Now, according to Al Wishart, if you want to leave it like that, you leave it like that. If you want to determine on how that is to happen, so be it in the bylaws.
And that's for personal consumption?
That is personal consumption.
So you're telling me you want people to come before us to grow 6 plants, and we want to do a site plan review?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
No.
Then how else do you police, I mean,
But that's what I'm asking.
You don't.
Is there, if it's not us, then how is that gonna be?
Well, they could row it out of the zones that we stated, but then just like the fence bylaw, they don't come before us for a fence, but the bylaw says the fence can be no closer than 3 feet from the property line, just like another paragraph says no building can be closer than 15 feet from the property line. But they don't come before us. That's the building inspector's problem.
So this could be more towards the bylaw committee putting something together as far as.
Yeah, it's, the building inspector is the one that enforces that.
Just so you, Lou and Jim, you know, there's certain aspects that the planning board's in charge of, the bylaw review committee is in charge of, I don't know that zoning board of appeals was,
They were gonna follow us.
okay.
Yes.
And the marijuana ad hoc committee.
Yeah.
and we basically, we collectively, basically just been asked to do the bylaws.
The zoning.
Regarding zoning bylaws, correct.
Correct. And at the meeting that Bob and I were at, the zoning board of appeals people asked for when we do our draft meeting minutes, if we would forward a copy to them, so they stay in sync with us, because the only thing they would do would be give a variance if they deem necessary. And they wanted to know the same thing to us. Was that Don that came over to us?
Yes.
So do we want to take a look at this, number by number and see if it applies to us, if we want to use something like that?
I'm having another thought right now, and this is entirely up to the board. Would be best for each board member to study this on their own, and maybe have a meeting on Thursday night, a quick one, and say, I like this, I don't like that, or do you want to go through it right now?
Well, I don't want to be here all night, but if you guys want to another half an hour or so and go through what we can go through, let's do it.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that.
Well, yeah,
I'm ready.
Lowell's on board.
Lou's gonna be plenty in the common. There's only 5, about 12.
I was just seeing what I had on Thursday night, in case I had.
So we're gonna go through this Grafton's bylaw from the beginning?
That's what Bobby asked, so that's what I did.
So the first thing they do is,
Authority, purpose, and intent.
You know what, I'm gonna go back to kind of what Bobby just said, because I think it's important that we don't rush through it. I think if we all take a look at the documentation that you have, we have East Hampton, no.
East Hampton, Belchertown, and Grafton.
Okay, so maybe if we have copies of those made, if the board liked.
Well, they were all emailed.
Yeah, every board member got those copies.
Right, so if we just wanna review them, and like you kinda said, see what we like out of each one, and then go from there, and kind of put ours together.
Can we? How long do we have to,
2 days.
2 days? So could we do it tomorrow morning and have a meeting on Thursday?
No.
No. So it would have to be
No, 'cause usually.
Monday or
Right.
Tuesday.
Because you do the 48 business hour posting.
Well,
I'm just saying, we can go through it right now, it doesn't matter to me.
it's entirely up to you.
I was kind of thinking about what you were saying, and, sometimes giving people the, leisure to kind of read through it once or twice, and,
Because as I was looking at the generic requirements across all three. And then I was looking at the requirements for commercial recreational. Then I was looking at the commercial requirements for registered marijuana dispensary. Because some of those will apply to all of the above, if you want to say it that way.
Well, Will just said that she would prefer to do it
I would prefer
at
to read
leisure.
it. Right.
okay.
I unfortunately cannot meet Friday night.
No, I won't. I'm not available then.
No, so we can look at a different night to meet,
You have select board on Monday?
on Monday,
So we'll be looking at a week from tonight.
we put tonight.
Yeah, the 8th, and we got to turn it in the 9th.
But if we're gonna come together and everybody has everything highlighted, I'm wondering too, do you have the ability to cut and paste right there?
If it's Word document, I do.
I
If
think
it's
you sent it as a
PDF, Lil
PDF,
does.
so I can convert it into a Word document.
So we can convert it into a Word document, and we kind of start cutting and pasting what we like, adding what we like, or what we want, from our point of view, and then we can almost be done with it in one night.
Right, it's just that, Bob and I went to the meeting, I guess we read more than other people because we understand what's in here already.
Yeah, and I'm gonna imagine that we're all gonna probably be on the same page after we read it. And then-
One thing that have failed to see in any of these, and maybe I'm mistaken, is there an appeal process?
I would say there's any appeal process, just like the zoning board of appeals. And I think that's the reason Don wanted to be on the same street as us, shall we say? The way he put it on last week, Bob, would you agree with that?
Yeah.
So they don't want to issue a variance without knowing what impact it would have. That's the impression I got. And he was there representing the ZBA.
Right, I would imagine the appeal process would be just like
Any appeal
any
process,
appeal process.
so many days and...
Yeah.
So the appeal process would be just like a normal.
Be a normal appeal process, nothing special about it. Well, all this is,
Right, it doesn't define.
But we could add that into ours, that the appeal process is as such.
Well, it's falling under the zoning bylaws, the zoning appeal bylaws,
Right.
which is.
gives him so many days and that's it.
Yeah.
So. And some of the communities are even talking about hemp, right?
Yes,
Don't exactly know what the difference is, but.
yeah, it's MARIHUANA, marijuana, or something like that. And if we go back to the
You know-
one from the state, it had both of them in there.
Why everybody's reviewing these prior to our next meeting, skim through our own bylaws and see what it already covers. Because if you talked about emissions and nuisance odors, it's all laid out here. It's already, most of this stuff is,
And that's what you've been saying right along, Jim.
it's not that, I
I'm
don't,
almost thinking we're gonna end up with a separate chapter
I don't really think a whole chapter.
from titled marijuana.
You could, and when it comes to certain things, you can refer to
Yeah.
certain bylaws.
see, I don't think we want to do that.
No,
I don't think we want to be calling out specific uses like that. If they fall under the chart for, we determine it's going to go under retail, right?
And it's gonna be contained in a building,
Then it's,
then everything is already laid out for the building
that's my
inspector
point.
and for us.
and if there's any, because it's, and if we make it by planning board special permit
And site plan.
and site plan approval, then all you have to do is fall back to 99% of it's already in our bylaws for a retail store.
If-
And if it's a grow facility, it's contained, you know what, we're basically concerned about parking, making sure it's contained, setbacks, they meet the setbacks, square footage of the building, because we've got restrictions on that. And then, and if it has to be secured, that's driven by state law and building code.
Well, and unless you want to get to the setback in schools and everything.
but that's the state law already, unless we would decide we want to change it, just leave it at the 500.
Like I said, if we put it in a building.
Now, but that-
I think this stuff is already there.
But the only thing I wonder too is that we just talked about, where they just had their, as what they consider to be schools, private schools. We don't have anything like that laid out in our bylaws. So that's something I'd want to have put into it. But like, I think you're right, Jimmy, I mean, you said that from the get-go, a lot of this is already covered under our zoning.
If that is not covered, then we could
What
add
you'd want to do is insert it into the retail and services, retail store, bank, and you may want to call out specifically dispensers for, not for medical use,
No, we have,
and then a grow facility. And just wholesale industrial transportation, if it's something that they're doing for wholesale, they're growing that much of it, they're doing it for
They're doing it for
Retail.
profit, we know that.
You just add a line in there, it's not allowed, allowed, but it's gonna be allowed under special permit, planning board, site plan approval.
Now, with that,
So you got control over everything.
But I want to control where it is as far as medical marijuana too. Because
Then if you can put it right under here and only allow it in a business or an industrial zone.
Because soon as you can, from my understanding, you can start off selling medical marijuana and then switch over to recreational marijuana, selling it, and there's no,
Then
nothing stopping
that's
it.
fine. It's covered under here. It's only allowed in a business zone, which would be from here to South Hadley line, just past the common, the village common. And it would be allowed anywhere from down by the Chateau to the South Hadley line.
Except you have a couple of daycares in between.
500 feet away.
And a library.
A library. What library?
Oh, going that way.
That's
that's professional.
yeah, that's an overlay.
That's an overlay area.
That's
That's the
professional.
village center, does, village.
Yeah, but once you leave the village, it goes to professional.
That'd be a good thing too, for next meeting, if you could just pull it up there, actually, all the zoning areas, so we can
We'll
look
do
at
that
it.
now. I actually do have everything, I just have to figure where I put it.
And I think, Bob, you said before too, remember, the bylaws is a living, moving thing, so if we don't get it right the first time,
I credited you at the meeting by saying that,
and I just gave Bob credit, so.
just
Well,
so,
you're like that.
just so you know.
This is what you're looking for?
Those are all overlays. And those businesses there are not for, they're for home offices.
Right, this is mixed
not retail.
use on East State Street. It's an oval, that's what that one is,
So where's general business?
okay?
Starts right here at just the side of the Chateau where the old Ford tractor place. Remember the tractor place that was right here?
Look, you can't talk about things that were here back in the 70s, I wasn't around, okay?
Yeah, but Mr. Sheehan was.
The tractor place?
Coming this way past the golf course, the driving range. What's the place on a machine shop, or wasn't that a
We had
tractor?
CNG
There's a
machines,
machine shop there, yeah,
Yeah.
that I know of, yeah.
They're still
and that
there.
was always a
Was it?
machine shop.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, the machine shop then,
Yeah.
right about there, all the way to the
Start.
South Hadley line. This general business.
Okay,
This is right here. This is general business.
all right.
Starts basically just west of Parish Hill Road and goes up to Lyman Street. Because there's the color code down here.
I'm sorry, say that again?
No, it doesn't.
Lime Street's,
Well, this is what it's
The
telling me.
general business?
No,
No.
no.
Well, the general business is solid pink. I was going business
Yeah,
park.
you're in the village
I was
center
in
district.
business park.
Yeah.
It's down here.
It's the opposite direction.
So it definitely looks like a lot of this is already,
Yeah, one of the governing factors as we get down past the chateau is gonna be the 500 feet from the daycare. They don't, none of these, and I was kind of surprised, mention religious institutions either, but that's okay.
I don't really see any issue with it.
You know,
If the state's not gonna address it, I don't think we should.
yeah. We have to be able to allow one in town,
Right.
you know, and
But that's-
unless the ban.
Right.
That's retail. If it's going to be a grow operation, then I guess there is no limit to how many, but what do we care? If it's all confined inside a building, what do we care what goes on inside there, as long as it's allowed by state law? We manage it based by the square footage of the building that's allowed.
Yeah, like,
I mean, the reality is, we don't have unless someone builds a building, we don't have one that's really big enough that someone would want to start growing inside as a,
Don't forget, a building is considered like one of these hoop-style greenhouses.
It's fine, as long as it's secured, I'm fine with that. If someone breaks in, or if that's the concern, then they've
I
gotta
don't
have
know if that would comply or not.
a greenhouse?
Yeah, if you could physically see the plants through the windows from the road,
Yeah, but you could screen it from the road.
okay, if they screen it, that's, yeah, fine. But yeah, I'm just saying, if you can physically see
More
it.
opaque
Yeah.
plastic,
But then they'd have to have lights or something inside for
not
No,
necessarily.
the upper roofs are,
there's a lot of laws and stuff as far as that's all concerned, because like plants are like numbered and stuff like that, and they track all that.
Yeah.
When the plants are grown, where they go, and
But there's special types of vinyl that goes on there, the agricultural people get, depending on what they're planting. And they're lucky if they get 3 years out of it, according to Mark from Dickinson. And they gotta replace it.
If anybody remembers the old greenhouse down at the high school, that was a special kind of opaque,
yeah.
if you will, plastic sheet that
Yes.
Mr. Dobbs had spec'd out for greenhouse use as well as solar use. Mr. Dobbs was the old high school industrial arts,
I remember the greenhouse, yeah.
so,
Actually, they kind of just tore it down when they started building the school.
Yeah.
that's correct.
Not that it was functional.
So did we decide we're gonna try to meet again?
I'm fine with it, I just can't meet on Friday.
Yeah, I think, if we can meet on Tuesday, like I said, just based off what, Jimmy was just saying in regards to, a lot of it's already in our bylaws as far as where it can be. We kind of just saw that up there. So we just kind of like tweak it a little bit. And I like for, like I said, our bylaws, from my personal opinion, with the board, is that we look at where, as far as, what's a school, what's not a school, daycares, a daycare center and stuff like that, kind of what they just,
Simply definitions.
yeah. And that kind of tells people,
Yeah, we could add that in there, saying,
Yeah.
including daycare, childcare,
yeah.
So,
childcare.
May 8th, Tuesday, May 8th?
Tuesday, May 8th.
As far as I know.
All right. Now, has that been passed by the AG, or no?
Or those
No.
are-
Just draft?
No, this is,
That's just drafts.
There's not been one recreational marijuana bylaw been passed by the Attorney General yet.
Yeah, so no one's
And
got
that
it for.
can cause us a problem. Being as the State Attorney General's office says, if we copied an already approved bylaw, they could turn it around in 30 days. But if there's none that we're copying that's already approved, it's gonna take the full 90 days. So just,
Takes 90 days, takes 90 days. What can we do?
nothing, that's why you go by the timeline that we've built.
Again,
we were handed the hand grenade.
again, you apply what's already here to it.
Right.
Until we get more specific with some of the items that people may have concerns with, just apply what's already here. One dispensary, right? That's all the town's gonna allow,
Right, recreational.
recreational, one.
How about Personally, I think that a pharmacy should be handling that.
I can't understand why
They've
this
got
isn't being
registered
treated.
medical dispensary,
But
marijuana
yeah,
dispensary.
medical, I don't think
You
you,
are correct.
medical, you can limit a number, right? That's,
Yeah, the medical,
you can't limit a number.
yeah, you can limit the number to 20% of the package stores, but we only got 2, so you can't go smaller
But
than
that's
12.
not medical too?
That is medical,
Then what's
That was
recreational?
same thing.
So one each or one total?
Hey, from the way, depending on what they open, it could be 1 each. But personally, I don't see anybody making any money here in Granby selling recreational marijuana when we got so much land that people can grow it themselves. Now, if we were in New York City or we were in Springfield or something where they don't have the ability to grow it, yeah, there's gonna be shops in those places for them to buy it. but not out here.
Doesn't mean it doesn't get grown out here and sold elsewhere.
Well, that comes under cultivation. That's why when we have to look at it, we have to look at it from all aspects of the municipal guidelines. The cultivation, the transportation, there's cultivators there. Tiers of the cultivator. Tier management. Now, how are we going to put that into our bylaws, or we're not?
Site plan approval,
Okay,
so stick to that.
I know, that's what I said before, but I just want to bring everybody's attention.
Right, like
There's a lot of stuff in here.
one is allowed in town. So where it ends up, I mean,
Somewhere in that pink area.
Yeah.
right,
Unless the ballot question is overturned.
right.
If we go, most towns have gone to a yes to a no.
Some towns have, yeah, they most certainly have, yep.
Particularly in Western Mass. Because people are saying,
Conservation.
I can grow 6 plants of my own, why don't I want to buy it?
We meet downstairs.
Excuse me,
What-
conservation meeting here?
Conservation's got a meeting May 8th at 7. Here, and they,
And they'll take the TV up here. We only have a couple choices.
I've watched a couple of Conservation Commission meetings, they're looking at this board.
I've seen them use both.
Okay.
If we want to use the TV, we'll leave the new library or council of aging.
What time, well, maybe that's not fair to ask. Conservation is meeting at 7. Should we meet at 5? But how does that work for
Yeah.
everybody?
It's all right with me.
Probably not Glenn now. Probably not Glenn now.
Yeah, I'd have to look, I don't know offhand.
Or we can meet it.
can we meet at the Council on Aging? Len?
We can meet there, Jay just said we can meet at the library too, because the library, I mean,
There's 2 TVs in the library,
I mean,
one
that's
TV at the council
the
of aging.
library is actually a great space that no one uses, so.
And if we're meeting on a Tuesday
Yeah.
night, we just have to go through the safety complex to get the key,
Because the library isn't open.
because the library isn't open at night.
Right.
But then we have to go back to the safety complex with the key, and then they'll turn on the alarm system.
That's fine, I mean.
And that's a 70-inch
If it's
screen.
available.
Well, yes, if it's
Right.
available, but the odds are, since the library, most meetings there are scheduled on Thursday nights, because the library's open on Thursday nights.
So we want to go to the library as first choice, second choice be the
Council on Aging.
council on aging?
Sure.
Okay.
What time?
Let me find out what time I can do. I know I can do 6, but if everybody can do 5, let me just look at it, and if we agree at 5, I'll let Kathy know, and
Jay, what do you look like though? You weren't asked that question.
What day was it?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, May 8th.
Yeah, I think I looked already.
No, you looked at Thursday.
Oh. Yeah, I'm fine for the 8th.
At 5 or 6?
Right, I only have one appointment that day. And we should be done with that by 3. Yeah, look out for Alex puts my
Have a half, I'll meet you halfway at
TV.
5:30.
Well, we can do that as well.
You want to do 5:30?
I don't know. I don't have my schedule in front of me, so I don't want to commit to something, so.
So basically, everybody's in agreement.
But everybody's okay with either 5:30, 6 o'clock, right? So that's, so whatever I look at. Obviously, if we can get closer to 5.
Whoops,
works.
Jay, could you stop for a minute, please? Go back up.
The retailer?
Right. I was just looking at it because the question did come up.
What question was that, Bobby?
I just had it and
Marijuana.
since you're real close. Page 5 of that document,
Okay,
very top, types of marijuana establishments.
I think that's before.
Yeah. That one right there.
Okay,
That's kind of interesting regarding medical marijuana treatment center, and that it's required to cultivate, process, and retail its own marijuana and marijuana products.
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
That-
You can't be buying from elsewhere and,
Right, and selling it as that.
That
so.
buying from elsewhere and shipping it out comes farther on down
Yeah.
on the transportation, shipping it out of town and stuff like that. And from what I'm hearing here, our town is not going to address that. We're only worried about two things: the actual selling of it and the actual cultivation of it. And most of the cultivation and selling it will be controlled by the existing bylaws and a site plan and special permit. That's what I'm getting. If we want to get specific with anything else, then we'd have to add it in.
well, I think we should put enough teeth in this to be able to forge ahead. And like you, Jim, have said, we adjust accordingly as the need requires.
Yeah, but just remember this. If we give a special permit, that's good for life. There's no end date on it. And if there's only one establishment in town, they've got all that privileges for the rest of the time.
Right, that's why I'm saying we should have some teeth.
Whoa.
Yeah.
No.
If
The
you-
special permit is assigned to the specific
Yes,
applicant,
that's correct.
not to any other applicant.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying to that applicant can stay there the rest of his life, as long as he doesn't change the special permit conditions. Whatever conditions he's got, he's good for the rest of his life. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's like any,
That's
it's
right.
no different than any other special permit we provide.
So if we issue a special permit, we're very careful when we issue it. No?
I'll make a motion to adjourn. We're all done.
Second said motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
The only one question, did I say anything about that, getting that, talking about Lil getting that template for the escrow accounts? Remember, we wanted to get that, because we're gonna have to recover that money from that solar farm, typically year 18 now.
You did mention at the beginning, then we kind of moved on to,
Right, but I'm just saying the clock is ticking on that.
All we gotta do is have somebody go to see Nally.
Okay.
See what he wants, what
What I'm
just
asking
follow,
is,
if he's gonna manage it, just tell him, ask him what he wants from us.
well, that's what I'm saying. Since Lil does all the record keeping from us, does she want to take an action to get a template to open an escrow account and get a template to return the remaining money in the escrow account when the job is done? Because what's going to happen is when the applicant comes in, you're going to have to tell the applicant at that point in time on how much you need from them.
right.
And the thing about that Pleasant Street one, there's $800+ they haven't been billed yet, that we've got to get done if we want to get it back. to do it.
Right, we have to
That's got
bill.
nothing to do with the escrow account.
No.
No, he just mentioned that because I told him that we do have one outstanding,
All right.
and he says, well, you got to give it to me in writing so I can bill him. And then he said he would bill him. So, do you want to take that action, Lil, or see Nellie, or
What is exactly?
What is your suggestion that she does?
get a template of what Nellie needs so we can process it if an applicant comes in? If we don't have the...
In other words, find out from Nally.
What he needs.
What does he need from us, and what will he provide us to track escrow accounts?
Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
No, I just want to make sure we get our money before the fiscal year ends.
Okay,
Put it in the account.
I will take
Right.
that.
All right, there was a
Motion still
motion, there
stands.
was a second. All in favor? Aye. That's it.